Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Here.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Kerwin.
Here.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Here.
Alderman Studer.
Here.
Alderman Kirby Hall. I think he just stepped out. 6 present, 2 absent, no quorum.
Thank you. Council, you have approval of the minutes for June 2nd before you.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes of June 2nd, 2015 as written.
A motion by Larry Hall, do we have a second? Second by Alderman Evans. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Thank you. Several things on the mayor's report. We'll start with the first resolution. It's a resolution for construction on state highways. I'll go ahead and read it, and we'll get the motion on it first after that. Whereas the city of Wilmington, herein referred to as a municipality located in the county of Will, state of Illinois, desired to undertake in the calendar year 2015 and 2017 the location, construction, operation, and maintenance of driveways and street return, water main, sanitary, storm sewer, street lights, traffic signals, sidewalk, landscaping, etc., on state highways within said municipality, which by law and agreement come under the jurisdiction and control of the Department of Transportation, the state of Illinois, is hereafter referred to as a department. And whereas an individual work permit must be obtained from the department prior to any after said installations being constructed either by the municipality or by a private person or firm under contract and supervision of the municipality. Now therefore, it is resolved by the municipality that first, the municipality hereby pledges its good faith and guarantees that all work shall be performed in accordance with the conditions of the permit to be granted by the department, and municipality shall hold the state of Illinois harmless during the prosecution of such work, and shall assume all liability for damages to person or property due to accident or otherwise by reason of the work which is to be performed under the provisions of the said permit. And second, that all authorized officials of the municipality are hereby instructed and authorized to sign said working permit on behalf of the municipality. That's the resolution, basically in a nutshell, kind of standard. Anytime you have a state highway running through your town, you pass this resolution, you're doing work on or around the state highway. Correct, Colby? That's correct, sir. Alvin, have that motion, Joe?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move to approve resolution number 2015-04, a resolution for construction on state highways.
A motion by Alderman Joe Van Dyne. We have a second. Second by Alderman Larry Hall. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer. 6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Second item on the docket is a resolution in regards to Wilmington's concerns on the governor's failure to make a decision on the Ileana Expressway, which we discussed at last meeting, and I told you I'd have in place for you, and I'll read it in its entirety. Whereas pursuant to 23 U.S.C. 139, the city of Wilmington is recognized and has been a participating agency in the identification of issues of concern related to the proposed Ileana Expressway, and has previously provided input and comment thereon. Whereas the city of Wilmington's position on the Ileana Expressway has always been to lessen the harm and deleterious effects of the proposed expressway upon the citizens, homeowners, and businesses of the city of Wilmington. And whereas on December 10th, 2014, the Federal Highway Administration signed the Ileana Corridor Tier 2 Record of Decision, normally known to as the ROD, marking the completion of the environmental planning phase for the Ileana Expressway, thereby allowing for the availability of federal funds for the final engineering design and acquisition of property for the construction of the Ileana Expressway. And whereas on June 2nd, 2015, the Office of the Governor of the State of Illinois issued a press release stating that the Ileana Expressway will not move forward at this time. As a result, the Ileana Department of Transportation will remove the project from its current multi-year plan. And whereas the action of the Governor's Office fails to address the uncertainty on the future plans and economic impact upon the citizens, homeowners, and businesses located in the city of Wilmington, by neither timely acting upon the record of decision by moving forward with the Ileana Expressway, nor requesting that the record of decision be vacated, thereby abandoning the proposed expressway. And whereas ever since formal proceedings were started for the proposed Ileana Expressway, uncertainty and economic distress has overshadowed the livelihoods of homeowners and businesses by threatening the existence of places called home and the places where individuals make a living, and any delay in a final decision will only further and needlessly exacerbate the uncertainty of the future of numerous citizens, homeowners, businesses, and the economic viability of the city of Wilmington itself, which is charged with protecting and ensuring the safety of its citizens. And whereas the planning for the proposed Ileana Route 129 and I-55 interchange was made a part of the Ileana Expressway study, and the state must address the vitally important and necessary interchange. Now therefore be resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Wilmington as follows. That a final decision must be made as to whether the Ileana Expressway will timely proceed or whether the Ileana Expressway as currently proposed shall be withdrawn as a transportation goal and then record of decision vacated. Further, the planning and construction of the Illinois Route 129 and I-55 interchange must be expedited. Now therefore be further resolved by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Wilmington and the City Administrator and Mayor are hereby authorized and directed to submit this resolution to the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Governor's Office, together with additional comments as they deem fit and necessary to protect and safeguard the vital interests of the citizens of the Wilmington community. Who has that?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2015-05, a resolution of the City of Wilmington expressing concerns on the governor's failure to make a decision on the Ileana Expressway.
Motion by Alderman Kerwin, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Evans. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
All right, that was a big one. Item number 3, announcements. The IEPA did submit their final approval notification. Basically what that is telling everybody is that the current rate structure that we have to repay our loans with the $650,000 loan structure and everything else meets the satisfactory needs of the IEPA. So basically the tough decisions we've made to get our rate structure into where it's supposed to be are satisfied by the IEPA at this time, that we have the ability to make our payments. So I just want to make that announcement. I do have a copy of that. I'm sure we got other copies if anybody wants one, probably 2 minutes. Dow Chemical made a donation, I believe, $1,500?
Yes.
I can't remember what that was for.
Riley's Garden,
Oh, that's right, Riley's Garden. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, they recently made a donation for Dow Chemical, which is much appreciated. And lastly, where's she at? There she is. We have Paula Ekstrom from the Wilmington Coalition here to give a presentation. Briefly on what you guys are up to.
Yeah,
Right.
we've been busy, we've been really busy. It's good to be back. And I have a couple, actually I have 3 things I want to be sure and cover. We are fully staffed once again, and I wanted to introduce our staff, and then I'm going to give them a couple of minutes each to tell you a little bit about themselves, and then I'll come back with a couple of other things that I wanted to update you with. So we have Deborah Tomei is our full-time coordinator now, and Wendy Hill Snitker, I can't ever say her last name right, so I just call her Wendy Hill. She is our part-time who has really kind of been full-time trying to get things up to speed. So maybe over the summer she might be able to slack off a little bit, or not, we'll see. So I'm going to let them have a couple of minutes. Debbie, you go. Deborah, you'd like to call her Deborah. You start.
Okay, well, my husband and I are fairly new here. We moved here, it'll be a year in July last year. We moved here from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I worked for a large adult and teen drug and alcohol program for a number of years in outreach, prevention, marketing, and as a woman's staff. So, so I have some experience in that area. What else can I tell you about me?
Yeah, children.
Oh, I have 3 children. I had a daughter, Natalie, who graduated from Wilmington this past year. And we really enjoyed going to Wilmington events and the football games and the championship. So we had a lot of fun with that. That was a good experience for us. And when I moved to this area, my husband took another job with a large automotive group in the corporate aspect. And we were looking for houses. We moved to Homewood first for a little bit, and then I wanted to get out of the city. And so we found Wilmington. I remember going through here as a little child because I grew up in the Quad Cities, and then my grandma and grandpa lived in Kankakee, so it's changed a little bit since I've gone through here. So, but as my daughter was at the high school, I just developed, I didn't think I was gonna come back and come here and do the similar work that I was doing up in Minnesota. I thought I was just gonna relax for a while and take some time off, and I guess there was different plans. So, and as I walked through the school year with my daughter, I just began to, have a passion for the community and for the youth and some of the great kids that I met. So I look forward to serving the community and hopefully helping in any way that I can.
Okay, Wendy?
Hi, Wendy Hill. Some of you know me. I'm Bobcat person over here. I graduated class 92, Wilmington, so long-time resident. I worked north of 80 for 20 years. It was time to come home, and I was home for a while, and Paula said, hey, and I said, I'll be right there. And so in the office and working, and it's nice to do something good for your community. So I'm enjoying helping locally and doing things locally and getting my fingers dirty. And, well, not really, but. And we're all caught up paperwork-wise, and we're making plans to finish out the year with our grant big. And we've already applied for 6 to 10, and we'll find out about that in September. But I honestly think that we've come through the hurdles, and we're in the finish line, and we're in first place. So that's how I feel about how we're doing. So I'm at the office. We're both at the office on and off. We have appointments, but generally the office hours are 10 to 4. Between appointments in and out, one of us is generally there. So if you want to, come on by.
Thank you very much. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So we've all been working really hard trying to get back on track. It was a really harrowing, time-consuming. The coalition decided that this time we would take a little bit more active role in the interviewing process. So, and believe it or not, we had tons of resumes and things that we had to go through. And the last time we hired for the positions, we did not have nearly as much to choose from. So we had a much better platform to be choosing from this time. Weirdly enough, I don't understand why, but maybe people are just wanting to make changes. And so we've been working really hard. As Wendy said, we got the years 6 through 10. We did manage to get the grant written. We will probably know at the end of July whether or not our scores are going to be high enough. They don't actually announce who wins who's going to be awarded the grant, but they do let you know if you're not in the running. So, and usually they try to do that at the end of July because there's a thing called a no-cost extension. And that paperwork is due at the end of July. So they try to let you know if you're not going to get it then so you can turn in your paperwork. So for us, which is totally out of my normalcy, because most of you all know that I am a permanent late person. So, but Wendy's plan is to have the report done in June, and so that we are all ready, because July is going to be a busy month with Catfish Days and just all kinds of other things. We've got Senior Goodwin coming up. We've got CADCA Conference only over in Indianapolis. So if any of you might be interested in popping over to Indianapolis for a day for CADCA Conference, please let us know. We've got one spot available that's going to be people in and out that aren't going to stay there the whole time, that just wants to drive over for the day and then come back home. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, please let me know. But, so Wendy wants that, the plan is to get that all done in June. And what the no-cost extension is that over the whole 5 years, we had $125,000 each year that we could spend. So, simplicity's sake, we had $100,000 in matched. We had $100,000 from the community, okay? And say we only spent $80,000 in that first year. So that gives us $20,000 there that we had matched that we could have spent that we didn't spend. And then there's another $25,000 that we didn't spend and we didn't have matched. Okay, everybody with me? So every year, whatever amount of money we didn't spend and we didn't match, we get to accumulate that across all 5 years and be able to use that in the year after the grant is done. So even if we do not get the grant, the government actually tells us how long we have to do it, but we guesstimate that we've got another 6 months to go past the grant year, and then we can turn around and rewrite the grant. So that gives us kind of a little 6-month gap, but we'll figure something out. There's other sources to get income to keep the girls on the payroll. And the only thing is that that money has to be used for programs that you didn't get implemented, that you said you were gonna do. You can't use it to hire new people. We can pay the ones we got, but we can't hire new people. And we can't buy equipment. And we have to use it on programs that we didn't get implemented in the first 5 years. So even if we don't get it, we're still hanging in there. I'm really proud of how our organization pulled together and came back. And the other major thing that I wanted to tell you was, we are going to start a sector meeting on the second Monday of the month over at the fire department. We're in the process of getting that set up. It will begin in August. So it will only be once a quarter. And that meeting will be different than our normal membership meeting. That one will be focused on more of a topic for a presentation, and then kind of some discussion, trying to get around the table, get some little collaborating conversation going, trying to put us in a point. And then in that evening will be our regular membership meeting. So we start at 8 o'clock. Like I said, we're in the process of getting it set up. August, second Monday of the month, 8 o'clock, fire department, an hour long. As aldermen, it would be a perfect opportunity. I know some of you can't, some of you have to work and you can't. But it would be a perfect opportunity to come in and kind of hear where the school district feels we are short at, where the police department feels we were short at. And so we're working on a new DEA report just came out. And so that's kind of going to be our topic. We're planning on that being our topic of discussion and doing a presentation. So she's coming to talk to you.
We're actually
Just
set,
warn
we
you.
are set up for August 10th from 8 to 9. So that is in place.
So business will occur at the evening meeting, but the morning meeting will be an informative and collaboration, trying to get more conversation in together to kind of point us in the direction that the community thinks we need to go. So it's always important, 6:30 on Monday nights at the fitness center, the Park District Fitness Center. That's where our normal monthly meeting is at. That will be every month still. Everybody knows where the office is, right? Across from Michelle's. Okay. Any questions? No? Sherry will continue to give you your updates as she's been doing for the last couple of years.
She does a fabulous job.
She's our cup passer around. I'll pop in once every quarter and let you know. Probably once we get the yay or nay in July, if we don't hear anything, no news is good news. Okay? All right, thanks for hanging in there with
Well, I just
us.
want to say real quick, I know you guys went, you guys were going on the right track with everything, there were struggles you guys had, but I'm just really glad you guys, throughout everybody that was involved, that you guys worked out whatever, issues we had, you guys were still able to continue on. You had a great staff, they've been at your state committee meetings already, so they seem very energized and very willing to keep going.
We're trying really hard to learn from our mistakes. I made mistakes in the first lot of different areas. But I believe that everybody loves this community, and sometimes misjudgments are just misjudgments, and that's all it is.
I think that the better you just focus on the mistakes, you focus on
Exactly.
the solution.
That's
And that was,
exactly.
I think it's the most fundamental part on everybody that was involved in the situation.
So I think we've grown a lot, we've learned a lot, and I really think it says a lot for us, because a lot of coalitions would have just folded up the door and said, you know, gone in the fetal position and not carried on anymore. And I really think that says, and we did not back away from the issues that we had, the growing pains that we had, we did not back away from them on the grant submission that we wrote. We kind of just plowed into it and had forward.
Yep.
You guys know me, I'm like a bull in a china shop, so, but,
Thanks, Paul.
all right,
Mr.
thank
Mayor,
you.
would you mind me adding something? I would just like to say that I really appreciate what you guys do as a coalition. I have 2 young children, and I've been to your functions before, and I find them very helpful. And I just wanted to thank you guys and keep up the good work. Thank you.
All right, that's it, right, Paula?
Yep, I'm done.
Okay, thanks for the mugs. They don't break. All right, citizens' comments. Do you have citizens' comments tonight?
Good evening. My name is Virginia Hammond. I'm going to pass this out first so you have this. I'm the president of No Ileana for Us. We're the grassroots organization. I spoke here before, opposing the Ileana Expressway. You guys are all aware of what happened on the 2nd of June when Governor Rauner suspended the Ileana for Governor Rauner passed the decision suspending the Ileana and taking it off of IDOT's. He only took it off the 5-year plan. All that does is it now, as your resolution states, is it now holds us hostage, just like the people in the path of the Piatone Airport have been held hostage since 1988. This is unacceptable. People need to live their lives, and traffic concerns need to be alleviated in all of the communities across the path. In that packet, and in watching your video of your June 2nd meeting, I heard you say you wanted to reach out to other communities. In there, I have the resolutions that we have already obtained. We have been diligently working in every township and community that is directly or closely impacted to the Ileana, in the path of the Ileana. By the end of next week, we will have secured we will have secured Eagle Lake and Cedar Creek at the east end in Indiana. West Creek Township already has a resolution that's in your packet. Washington Township, which is now you cross the state line, now Washington Township there in Beecher, I will have theirs in hand June 26th. They will approve and sign their resolution against coming west. Will Township already has one on the books. Piatone Township already has one on the books. I don't know if you're aware, but there was a changing of the guard in Piatone. Dick Durand is no longer the village president. Newly elected Steve Cross was elected as a trustee. He was a former village president. He's now the village president pro tem for the next 2 years of the village of Piatone. Next, on the 22nd, I will have their resolution reversing their resolution that was prior it was in favor of the Ileana. All these resolutions that have been passed are against the Ileana because it's not financially viable. The Cranes report, I don't know if you guys saw that, there was an article done by Cranes that came out. The Fitch report that Governor Quinn paid, there's already been $112,000 paid for this report. Possibly we will owe a total of $125,000 for a so-called oral report that nobody seems to have the paper trail for, that stated that the Ileana was not viable and would never be viable for the TIFIA federal funding, which means that the rod was passed on false pretenses. Earlier today, there's a little more support to that. We have won the tier 1 federal lawsuit. It was one earlier today, which and the judge said that it was, I don't know all the lawyer terms, but it was basically illegal. Which means everything that was done in tier 2 was following suit, and the rod was passed under false pretenses. It is a huge nail in the coffin. So Peatone also passed a resolution asking the Federal Highway Authority to rescind the rod because of the fact that it was passed under false pretenses. Today's win of the lawsuit will not affect the second lawsuit that was filed. That one was mainly that the NPO Policy Committee had no authority to even proceed with their vote because CMAT Board said no, because CMAT Board has ultimate authority. So it won't affect that lawsuit. The third lawsuit that was filed, which also involved the Tier 1 EIS, the Tier 2 study, and the rod, today's judgment will affect that. Coming further west then from Peatone, we also have Wilton Township. I spoke there last week. They are in the process of writing a resolution with concerns that they also have. Florence Township already has a resolution on the books. That one's in your packet. The Village of Simerton already has one. The Village of Elwood already has one. I'm here tonight, and I will be at Wilmington Township Thursday night. Your resolution, I like your resolution. I think it needs to be a little stronger against it. I don't know if there's any way to add an addendum to it, but by passing this resolution, we have a solid voice. Everybody in the path of the Ileana is saying, no, this isn't, this is not the solution. We have been, there's 30 to 40 groups that have been fighting against it. Some of them national groups, some of them federal groups. HERB, Open Land, Sierra Club, EOPC, there's multiple, there's Transportation Alliance, there's all kinds of groups. Ileana wasn't going to cure every area's concerns. What might be a concern for Wilmington might not be a concern for Simerton, might not be a concern for Peatone. We all have similar concerns, but it was just going to make it worse. It's going to affect our school districts, our fire protection districts, our policing districts. They're not going to start redistricting everything because we now have a Berlin Wall and we can't get to the south side of our districts. These resolutions together, while separately they might not hold a lot of weight, in your June 2nd meeting, I heard you make a statement that you were going to reach out to other communities for resolutions. Well, by golly, we've got it. So if there's looking at those other resolutions, if there's any way to maybe clarification on your resolution, is this for or against it, or just the decision to be one way or the other?
Basically, you read it, the decision is that they're not going to build it, they need to make the thing is, within this, as you read in the body of this whole thing, was there are aspects or components of the Ileana Expressway that were done in the engineering and economic and environmental studies that were done on the Ileana 129 and 955 interchange. We want to ensure that those do not go away, that those are still maintained out there, because we still look at the vitality or the need, extreme need, of having that interchange put in. Ileana or no Ileana.
And they took that out and kind of initially took it out.
They had a secondary portion, but where it became advantageous to where it was able to be put under the 5-year economic plan was that during this whole Ileana environmental and engineering study, okay, they utilized those funds to look at that interchange. Okay, so what it does is it puts us a couple of years ahead, a few years ahead of this thing. My fear is that if they scrap the whole thing, I do not want to ensure that they do not scrap the entire environmental and economic study, especially that interchange. So that's where that's where you see this whole thing. That's where everything kind of, we look, we understand what the concerns were in regards to Ileana, and then that if you're not gonna build it, you know, if our staff, if you're not gonna build it, then vacate the ROD. But, okay, we have an interchange that needs to be replaced.
And
All right.
was IDOT wasn't going to replace that specific, they were gonna tie it into Lorenzo Road and the Ileana?
No, Lorenzo Road was actually kind of part of the whole thing too, and it still technically can be. It's still part of IDOT's plan, is to not only replace the 129, but also to change the configuration of Lorenzo Road. The reason for the configuration of Lorenzo Road is basically it's a bit built out of Bridgeport. Lorenzo Road's only, maximum capacity, I think, 7,000 loads a day. Okay, as everything grows out there, that becomes greater, so they have to change those on and off ramps. So that was all part of the whole process. Ileana and Oleana, we want to ensure that that project still continues. So as we address the Ileana, we have to look at the 129 interchange too to make sure that those things are still in there. Okay, you may think it's not strong enough. I do. I think it's strong enough to basically tell the governor, you know, like we've always said, if you build it, build it. You know, don't leave us hanging, just like those people in Peatone have been sitting there since 1988.
Right.
It was one of the very first questions that was brought up in one of the very first meetings with IDOT in the public hearing. Somebody stood up and said, if this doesn't happen, is it going to remain? Okay, and IDOT's
And they said no.
position at that time was that if it doesn't go nowhere, it will be scrapped, okay? But when the decision was made by the governor, okay, to take it out of the 5-year plan, I don't know if that's political ploy or what, I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, but from our standpoint, we don't want to be sitting here wondering if it is or it isn't.
And then your interchange
That's-
doesn't get rebuilt for 5 years.
Anybody's,
Right.
the worst thing to have, you know, the worst thing to happen is to leave it hanging.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And that's what our position is, don't leave us hanging. If you're gonna build it, build it. If you're not, then vacate that ROD. And that's where our position is within the body itself. You know, we don't come out and say, yeah, you're right, we don't come and say, don't build it. We're gonna say, if you build it, build it. You know, but if you're not, vacate that ROD. But we still have a concern in regards to the whole process of how the Ileana was done with the environmental economics. We want to make sure that doesn't go away, regardless of what happens with the Ileana. If it doesn't get built, that can't go away because we need that information for the 129 and not 55 days. So that's where you see that whole, how it's, you know, there's a lot of order in there, I understand, but that's why. We have to protect it, as much of our interest as we can.
Absolutely.
And that 129 is a very economic interest, right, vital part of Wilmington. When they took it out, it hurt.
And how, it's been gone for
4 years.
4 years, it's been
Yeah.
that long.
So, see that, you know, and they said that they'd have it redone in 5. So, you know, when they took it out in
And
2011.
they haven't broke ground to
So
do it
no,
this year.
and, you know, I really think that if they had, if Ileana hadn't proceeded as it would still be looking at another 10 years. But by this Ileana taking the route it does, put that environmental and economic status, the work they ever did down in there. So that's basically done. So that's where we're basically going to the state on 2 points. If you're not gonna build it, vacate the ROD.
Which
But-
you'll have to include, the state can't vacate the ROD.
Right.
You'll have to also send this to the Federal Highway Authority.
Which we
because
will.
They're the only ones.
Yeah, I think we said it in the.
And- As long as you think that your resolution is strong, we'll include it. What our intention is to get all of these to the governor before the July 1st deadline that he gave his legislators to kind of get their act together financially, because there's a real easy way for them to cut hundreds of millions of dollars out of their budget and not have to cut some of these programs that are necessities for, you know, veterans and disabled people and whatnot by getting rid of the Ileana and getting rid of the airport. So we are planning on submitting all of this to the governor, and by having resolutions from every township and community that's directly and real close to indirectly impacted in the Ileana. That was a huge piece of how they killed the Prairie Parkway years ago, because it was a political project just like this one. They were wanting it built not for reasons that would help with the concerns, the traffic concerns. We have reached out, there has been alternatives being spoken about. County board has been presented with some, local 150's been presented with some. There are a whole lot of people that are, I mean, because we're not against, we know there's concerns.
Well, that's our biggest fear, okay, in regards to this whole project. My biggest fear is, we may not think we have a truck problem now or a traffic problem now. Wait 5 years, okay? Think 5 years back. It wasn't that bad 5 years ago. Think now. Think what's gonna be in 5 more years or in 10 more years. If a plan is not developed, and that's my biggest fear, okay? That they scrapped the Ileana, but they worked in no concert to develop any type of plan to address the movement of freight, for one, okay? Which is gonna be, continue to be huge as companies move into this area, okay? But if you develop no plan, Ileana or no Ileana, or whatever, you
There's
have
gotta
to,
be
you
a way
have to
to
devise a
mitigate the
plan.
tra- Right.
Will County, for 25 years, had in their plan, a long-range plan, a traffic plan to help alleviate freight traffic, which used the I-57 to I-55 corridor, which was Peatone Road and New River Road. It was there since the 80s. The city of Wilmington passed several resolutions supporting that 57 to 55 corridor. Is it still there? Could it still be a viable thing? Sure, but I mean, it takes a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
And we all know the state don't have
The
the
state
money.
doesn't have any.
Well, I fear it, to me, the P3 can work if it's done right. Okay, if the burden is put on the private investor versus the taxpayer, that's my personal feeling, is that risk has to be on the private investor. It can work, but that's where that risk has to work. Is it the Ileana? I don't know, I'm not an expert.
The only problem is that none of the financial groups agreed to take the financial risk because it,
Correct.
the numbers
In
weren't
respect to
there.
the Ileana, if I take myself outside the whole debate of the Ileana, what's being done to look at the traffic congestion is gonna happen 5 years from now? And my answer would be right now, nothing, because there is nothing.
Well, there has been a lot of discussion about finding a way, especially with Walter Strong being closed because of the violations at the gates there. There's been a pretty aggressive discussion about coming up with an alternative to come out of Center Point and head north because a lot of the traffic wants to hit I-80 and go east or west. And what they are trying to do is find a path that's agreeable to everybody and kind of tie it into the Humboldt Bridge area.
Yeah, the Humboldt Bridge was something that was brought up about 3 or 4 years ago, and where they were trying to create a governing body, intermodal, or inland port authority, okay? And really use more governmental authority to create this. The approach was right, but, I mean, what was looked at by building it seemed to work, but the approach they took and the underhanded stuff that went on behind the closed doors was what eventually made it fail, because there was people looking to gain too much from it. We've talked about, Frank, how many years we talked about inland port authorities? I mean, you know, you need that to help create some type of taxation or some type of way to ensure that the roadways are maintained and improved. You know, they talk about the 3-lane highway on I-55. Until they figure out a way, what they're gonna do with that Des Plaines River Bridge, you'll never see 3 lanes past Route 6.
Right.
You know, so, yeah, there's a lot, and that's my biggest fear, is, if the Ileana is dead, okay, or if it dies, there's nothing out there to us to look forward to that alleviates traffic, alleviates traffic in 5 years.
Well, and another problem is that IDOT has not maintained, repaired, and kept their roadways
No.
up to snuff.
And they never had a
To get
budget, they never had a
D
budget
on
for
their
7
report card.
years, yeah, they never always a cost. I'm sorry.
Right, you know, we can't,
But, you know, they're gonna understand, you know, and you've been here several times, many times, and, you know, we're just as much as, you know, embedded in the Ileana as anybody, probably more so than everybody based on the city of Wilmington. Well, we understand, what the potential has to economically help the city of Wilmington, but we also understand the dramatic, impacts that it's gonna have on us as well. Those are the stuff that we have never taken lightly. It's been a tremendous burden on all of us. Many of us live with, you know, within eye shot where this thing would be built. It's never been a difficult or an easy decision for any of us.
Right.
In the whole process. My fear is that just whatever happens, there's nothing to, from the state to say, this is what we're gonna do to help alleviate the movement of freight in this area as this place grows.
Well, I'm going to the listening tour with Randy Blankenhorn, the acting director of IDOT. It was evident that everybody's got concerns in all their areas, and hopefully, moving forward, there's gonna be more communication to help all the communities statewide that have concerns. Hopefully.
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 Think of this and that. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
Well, I'm technically not a citizen, but my name's David Dodd. I'm the general manager of Freight Trans over at the corner of Route 53 and River Road. And like Virginia, I've been against Ileana from the beginning because it goes right through my office. And we spent a long, long time trying to get that piece of property. Remember back in the way olden days coming here and annexing and zoning and all that kind of stuff. And we finally got it, and then they said, oh, by the way, we're gonna build a road right through it. So, yeah, I'd like to see the rod vacated, and anything you can do to help out is well appreciated. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? All right. Moving forward, planning and zoning. The next scheduled meeting is this Thursday, July 9th, not this Thursday, next month, Thursday, July 9th, 2015, at 6:00 p.m. I get ahead of myself. Committee reports, building grounds, parks, health and safety, Alderman Persick, Alderman Van Dyne.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Graff had announced the South Island Park Vision Plan open house is June 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. at City Hall. And our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, July 15th, 2015 at 6:30 p.m.
Our sewer streets and alleys, Alderman Studer, Alderman Kerwin.
Mr. Mayor, next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, July 15, 2015 at 5:30 p.m.
Sitting on police and ed, Alderman Studer.
Next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, July 14, 2015 at 5:30 p.m.
And continuing on good, our Alderman Studer, finance and administration.
I'd like to move to approve accounts payable report in the amount of $280,388.59 and a collector's report in the amount of $353,252.56 as presented by City Council.
Motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Larry Hall. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, move to terminate the pay style of ride local share agreement effective July 1st, 2015.
A motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Larry Hall. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, July 21st, 2015 at 6 p.m.
Ordinance and license, Alderman Kirby Hall, Alderman Evans.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 15-06-16-01, an ordinance adding provisions to Chapter 96 of the Wilmington Code of Ordinances.
A motion by Alderman Hall, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Evans. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Before we do the second one, do we want to, so we don't have to change it after I make the motion, would we want to talk about that prior to?
Well, I think what Alderman Kirby would like to be able to do is, it's more of a legal question before a motion gets put on the table. There's some language in regards to the requirement for an enclosure for all multi-tenant uses, industrial and commercial. There could be an alternative language that also could include where it's feasible to be able to do it, because there's some buildings, especially when you get in the B2A, Central Business District, where it's not feasible to build an enclosed dumpster site, in the downtown area. But the main purpose for this ordinance, what was coming up to, at least the intent was, the chief, the police department was getting calls on, was the garbage that would be outside the ordinance, on top of the dumpsters. So we could have language that would probably address that the enclosure can include a fence and/or, if they're not able to put a fence up, to have the dumpster to be secured. So the lid has to be down, and it could secure either by a lock or just by a latch. It would have to be a padlock, so that the garbage cannot blow all over the place. And if they have garbage outside that dumpster, if it's not a fenced-in area, that garbage is not permissible. Only in fenced-in dumpster enclosures can they put, boxes and things, but it's inside a fence. So I think we got some work to do on it. I think I want to sit down with the chief too, because he's the one who was getting the calls, and maybe come back with some new language. But I know Alderman Evans brought something up about, can we find some variances on this, so that we can work with some of our small business owners. And we do have some unique challenges, in some of the areas with downtown, trying to have dumpsters, out there, so.
Well, I guess the consensus would be, or basically by committee would be whether they wanted to table this for tonight.
Yeah, they could do that too. And bring it back to
If
committee.
you guys want to take it back to committee, you're more welcome to make the motion before that, this the table, if you send it back to committee.
Motion, Kirby?
I can make that. I'd like to make a motion to table this.
It's an ordinance.
Then, I move to table ordinance number 15-06-16-02.
On the Robert's rules, all you can do is table.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
make a motion to table.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to table ordinance number 15-06-16-02.
Yeah, motion to table, is there a second? Second by Alderman Evans. Any discussion?
Okay, have discussion with table.
That's right, just take it
That's
there.
fine.
And that's
Did all that beforehand.
Oh, it's tabled.
Yeah.
There you go.
You start that roll call.
Do I?
Yes. It
Okay.
has to be by.
That's true. All right. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer. Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
Thank you. That one is tabled, so it's,
Yes.
moving on. Move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I have move to approve ordinance number 15-06-16-03, an ordinance amending Article 2, Chapter 32 for building inspector.
A motion by Alderman Evans, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Hall, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Studer. 6 yes, 2 absent, motion passes.
We have a first reading, Mr. Mayor, amendment to chapter 112.25, number of liquor licenses, increased number of class B1 retail beer and wine only from 3 to 4. And the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, July 14th, 2015 at 6 p.m.
Personnel and collective bargaining. Do we have executive session on personnel?
This, wow, it was discussed at the police committee level, wage classification for the executive assistant.
All right. So yeah, we'll have executive session. Okay. Any nurse report, Mr. Zamitis?
Thank you, Mayor. Starting with the Katy River Bridge repair, as you're aware, the deck complete is done. however, they were doing cutting the track across the bridge today, which is a major backup of the traffic and whatnot out there, so.
I looked at 7 green lights before I decided to come around, that's why I was late today. I was sitting on First Avenue.
What were they
There were
doing?
7 green lights and I didn't move.
Just like, it's still like, when you do the concrete pavement, you run the tines across there, or whatever, while the bridge deck, you can't just use the tines, whatever, you get to cut it in with an actual machine, whatever, to get it down deep or whatever, so it's kind of track during icy weather, whatever, that you actually have track to the concrete with your tires, that's what they were cutting in there. So that's what makes forever.
I was at work, I just heard about it.
Yeah, a little better now? Depends on, I see it's still backed up with you people, so I'm not sure where they've been, how far they
Really
got
bad.
across, but,
And the whole time I was sitting there for 7 green lights, nobody went south.
yes, and, yeah, I've heard a lot of concerns about how much traffic they're letting go in each direction, whatever, and I talked to IDOT, I talked to some of the police officers here, and made the calls and said, hey, let's not try and go equal, wherever the longer traffic is, allow them to go longer, they're going 4 cars at a time, and every 4 cars at one side of these.
So apparently they couldn't do this work with the lights up, so they have to do it.
Well, they could have, but, yeah, they had to go completely across the whole deck, you can't just do half the deck at a time, so, they could have left the lights out, but had the same issue, they had to open the whole lane.
They could have announced a temporary shutdown.
Done it at night.
They could have done it at night. Other than that, the bridge approaches and the parapet walls are the remaining items that need to be done. There's some work below the bridge that need to be done yet, but that'll probably be in August or in the fall when the actual water level drops. We're going to see down there and do the work that needs to be done. As far as the 102 project, the project's complete, there's punch list restoration work that they got to do up there. The high-speed rail, there's really no updates on there. I mean, if you drive through there during the day, they're doing a bunch of survey work and whatnot to pick up some additional information, but they have not passed anything with the price plans on to the city.
Did they say those sidewalks meet the criteria
For
on 102? 80.
Wants to be inspected.
yeah, they got an inspector.
ADA stuff, so ADA people.
But he said punch list.
It could be a punch list issue. It could be a punch list item, yes.
Okay.
The 53, that ours.
Wasn't they hired from the state to do that?
Yeah, the state project.
The 53 Arsenal Ketone, there's really no updates on those projects either. We're still waiting to hear back from IDOT on our potential transfer of funds from those projects. MFT, still kind of going back and forth on streets and budgets and whatnot. So nothing's been prepared as of yet. The 53 water main improvement replacement, we got the approval letter from EPA for the loan today. Simply got to sign that, return it, and then we'll be probably having a free time and getting going right after the 4th of July with that project. Economic development report, Michelin, they're pouring the exterior pavement in the parking lots, painting the walls out there, putting up the guard shack and the water storage facility. They're looking to get temporary occupancy next week. Storage and whatnot going on in there. Petro, been talking with the general contractor, looking to get the solar erosion control here going in the next week or so to get starting out there. CDC got the foundation walls framed and poured, probably 3/4 of the way around that building. Still got the backside along the rail that they need to do before they start putting the building in. CDC building, all the exterior walls are replaced. They're hanging the rafters for the roof last week or so. Ozega, no updates. Transload door relocation. They have pretty much everything framed in rebar place. They just haven't poured the new location. Dollar General, foundations in place. They've poured a lot of concrete for the parking lot. We're looking to get the sewer and water in there probably the next couple of weeks with the public works guys that are getting to the road and they'll be grading across the road for the connections. all I got. Any questions or?
Did you mention Peatone Road and, or 53?
Yeah, there's no updates right now. We're still waiting to hear back from IDOT, a potential transfer of funds from South Arsenal to that vehicle.
That's the way. Just one real quick check. Kobe, that you probably already know, Kobe's been extremely busy this past week with Mr. Van Dyne, our Public Works Director, in regards to our water situation and all the water we've had. They've been out there checking drainage flows, drainage, fixing any plugging, but also, even more importantly, making note of where these issues have been so we can address them down the road, and hopefully they don't crop up again. So, thanks, Kobe, and also Gary's not here, but, it's kind of hard to keep up when you get 3 inches of rain in 45 minutes, but it was something else. But these guys, they answer my phone calls. I'm sure they're answering many others, but they're getting out there as quickly as they can to see where there might be some pluggages that we can't see that might be underground fixes. Okay, the administrative report, Mr. Grant.
Yeah, I'll tie into the economic development report. Had conversations with the Military Warrior Museum with Dr. Fred and Ron and Lieutenant Colonel Knapp. They finally got all their cost estimates in from their contractor, so they're working up a real estate contract now with the owner, Pat Stadden, who's a Patrick Commercial. He feels very confident that he's going to have it under contract, hopefully in a couple of weeks. He is scheduling what the next steps he wanted to do was a regional district VFW meeting. So he gave some dates today to the VFW that could be open for him to fly in and meet with all the district commanders in the region. I think there's 18 to 20 of them that our local VFWs will coordinate for him. And we're supposed to do that sometime in mid-July, or we sort of told him to come on for Catfish Days. He really does want to do that because he saw the website and says that our donate around that bad times would stay for a day and have some catfish. The mayor and I did meet with the potential new owner of the Eagle Hotel. We went over some of the renovation questions that he had, and he seems very confident, as he said, with his attorney and his financing in place, that he'll probably move on to purchase. And so hopefully we'll have more information to report on the Eagle Hotel renovations. Pretty aggressive plan that he has on it, but wants to put it in commercial use. And I think that's pretty exciting what he's thinking about. He actually took our intern report that he did in the downtown area. We gave a copy of that, and he's thinking about that idea of a microgrid. So he liked the idea that was already put in paper, put in a little thought process. So he was glad to have that report. So sometimes some work that Chris Francis did, he always emails me once or twice a couple of months, wondering if there's any activity going on. And when I email them, tell them that they're happy to report the microgrid, might be an idea that the new owner might want to explore. That'd be exciting. I think that's very good prospects there for the downtown areas. The launching pad, we're working toward a contract. I hope we'll be able to report that the new owner and the former owner have some type of agreement for the launching pad to move forward with the restaurant. So we'll keep you informed on that. They're in their due diligence period now. There's a call from the engineer. I want to make sure it's on the floodplain, and I want to make sure IDEC doesn't have any plans in regards to if they have to do improvements after the curb and gutter and things like that. So I know the engineers will be talking to Coleman. So keep our fingers crossed. This one's gone a little farther than most of the others in the past. They're actually pretty much their building department and inspections. So pretty promising. It's an established restaurant here. It's got 4 restaurants in the area. Cape Key and Urban and Peatone and Kino. So the idea of was mentioned earlier about, Randy Blankenhorn was formally introduced and appointed now as the director of IDOT, so he's the acting director. When that happened last week, he gave CMAP the authority to appoint a director of CMAP. The new director is Joseph Zabel, a very promising, appointment. What reason is Joe's got years in the freight business, in rail. Joe's a former mayor too, of Riverdale. I've known Joe for about 30 years. Congratulations. And he's reaching out and wants to travel down to the Wilmington area, and he wants to be hands-on and get out there. And that's pretty much evident because we already met with CMAP about doing a planning project for the Wilmington area in regards to comprehensive planning for trucks and things like that. So I think it could be keep our fingers crossed that relationship building is on the way with CMAP. Let's see how that goes. So that's right now.
Attorney's report, Mr. Irvin.
Thank you. Since last meeting, I sent a letter out to an industrial property owner, another letter in regards to not having their parking lot and driveway paved, so we're supposed to contact me this week in regards to what their position is on the matter. And also this Thursday, I'm in court on the half porch property on Baltimore Street. The judge had given them 30 days to file an answer to the complaint that we filed and to get an attorney. 30 days have expired, a week or two ago, and no attorney, no answer. So there's a good chance that it'll be defaulted on Thursday, and we can get an order answered in regards to default judgment in order so that we can move forward with having the property demolished. So we brought that to compliance with the city's codes and ordinances. So, but I should be able to report back to you the next meeting in regards to where we're at with that and the other cases that are out there. Thanks.
All right, need a motion to go into executive session regarding matters of personnel.
Mr. Mayor, I move to go into executive session at 8:06 p.m. for matters of personnel.
Motion by Alderman Larry Hall, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Kerwin. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent. Motion
All right,
carries.
motion to come out of executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to come out of executive session at 8:27.
Motion by Alderman Hall, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Evans. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 absent. Motion passes.
No action was taken at the executive session tonight. Motion to adjourn.
Make it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. City council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 7th.